So
Yeah.
for you to be able to be that open space for your friend and be able to, like, you good, come to me and talk.
Yeah.
Now those roles can be switched, and now they know that, okay, he was
I can
open.
trust this person. Yeah.
He
You
was,
got to be vulnerable.
yes, you have to be vulnerable.
In order for people to be vulnerable with you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
being vulnerable is not.
It's not easy.
Woo,
It is not
child.
easy. It's
It's
not
easy
easy.
at all. Welcome to the Heart Helper Podcast, a spiritual space where we share extraordinary stories from everyday, ordinary people, because we truly believe that inspiration is far greater than influence. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Heart Helper Podcast. I am your host, Jodie Smith, and we are on episode 29. And I'm very excited today because I have a friend, and we've been talking about him coming on this podcast for a long time now. But finally, he is here. We have illustrator and author, Mr. Brandon Darrett. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm so glad that we could finally get you on the podcast.
I know I probably said it like 1,000 times. I'm like, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We wouldn't be a podcast without guests like you. So I'm super excited. So let's just get into it because I feel like we've hung out, we've seen each other, and you've never mentioned that you've published a book called Replenished. And as I was doing my journalist duties, I'm like, let me look up this book, which was beautifully illustrated, by the way.
Thank you.
And I just want to start with reading some of the reviews about this book. So first person, Carmen, it says, Replenished is exactly what the world needs right now. It touches on a lot of things we should discuss with our kids. My two boys truly enjoy working in this book and coloring the illustrations that look just like him. I really enjoy watching them draw and create. From the illustrations to the content, this book checks every box. And then from someone named Amari. When I was a child, there was absolutely nothing like this. Replenished is more than a coloring book, more than just showing a Black boy he can aspire to be a sports player or a rapper, more than showing a Black girl that she is solely just pretty. This coloring book is representation and illustrating what our future looks like. When I read that, I was like,
when I read them, I was like, hold on.
Oh my goodness. So what inspired you to write this multi-purpose children's activity book, Replenished?
Yeah. So being an artist, I kind of know what art did for me, just kind of growing up as an outlet to just kind of be creative and explore a little bit. And I think it's like being able to take that creativity and put it into your own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing kids like light up and do certain things. I love when I see kids draw, and I love how I can see like how kids can be real creative. So I think that was the main leading portion of it. But then just kind of realizing that kids needed, they need those affirmations and they need those illustrations and being able to kind of like see themselves in books. And that's what ultimately just kind of really started it. And then the name kind of came later. Like, honestly, the idea was already there, but then I think the name Replenished kind of tied it all up. And then I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Like 1 + 1 does equal 2.
This does equal 2. And so what does replenished mean to you? How do you define replenished?
Yeah. So just the embodiment of refilling itself, like refilling yourself and refueling yourself. I think every day, we continuously put our energy into the world. We put our energy into work. We were just talking about that.
Child, don't get me started on work.
Working and family and friends.
Life.
And you put so much into life.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure we all sit down and we go, whoo, what is there for me?
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part of just like replenishing yourself, is, doing the things that you enjoy doing that kind of gives you that energy back. And that could be anything from physical. I love working out. So working out.
Okay. I'll put his Instagram handles in the podcast description.
But yeah, working out for me, drawing, things like that. Some people love music. I wish I was a musician. Lord, that would have been.
Me too. I wish I could sing.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, my friends would
An
be
instrument.
sick of me.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh my goodness, I'd be leaving full songs on voicemails. So.
If I could do it, if I could like play at a piano, like that would be my ultimate ultimate instrument.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like
Next life, you never know.
you never know. You never know. But yeah, just being able to like replenish yourself, and that could be anything physical, or it could be other things that people do, mentally, whether that be, yoga, or, just kind of like just meditating. Or I know one of my friends, she buys herself flowers. Like that's her go-to on Saturdays.
Yes.
She goes to the market, she gets flowers, but that's a portion of replenishing herself.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you just have to refill yourself before you can be a beneficial factor for somebody else.
I agree with that. And I think I love that when I saw like the cover of your book, I feel like representation is so important. And I was watching an Oprah episode like years ago from like 1997. And she said one thing she noticed when she went to Africa, went to the store, all of the magazines had people that did not represent the people living in this country at all. So representation is so important to me. Did you kind of consider that when you created this book? Like, I want our kids to have something that they can relate to.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Funny enough, the two illustrations on the front are my little cousins.
Oh really?
So yeah, I took.
So you know these kids?
I know. Yeah, I know them little kids. But yeah, no, representation is key. And I wanted to make sure that, of course, this was a book that was, meant for us.
Yeah.
A lot of the topics that are in there discuss, melanin and curly and kinky hair for young girls. For the boys, it's about like emotions and how to really like tap into your emotions and not,
important.
Yeah, those topics that we that are detrimental in our households.
So, and the schools are not teaching these things
at all. Yeah.
So I know the schools are just so standard with what they're teaching. I mean, I always notice education has not really evolved since it started.
Yeah.
So things like this, like Replenished, are very, very important.
And they're taking a lot of those things out of the high schools as well. Like, I mean, I remember we had home ec.
Yeah, now they don't have.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, like a lot of the like the art departments are getting smaller or whatever the
they
case
don't have
may
the
be.
funding. Yeah, and I heard they're taking slavery out of books too. So you have to be able to teach your children. Like, you can't expect a teacher to be the one solely teaching your child. You have to make sure that you're also the one teaching your child. And Replenished is a great option. So get the book. How do you replenish yourself? I know you go to the gym.
Yeah.
How do you replenish yourself? Because I am really big on always filling back up your cup. Because I know so many times we spend our days pouring and pouring and pouring, and you have to take a moment for yourself to pour back into yourself. I love the gym. I also like getting myself flowers too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What do you do to replenish yourself?
Well, one, of course, the gym. And I think that as, you kind of get over that hurdle of like, ooh, I got to get through the gym. Ooh, I got to work out. But then you find the love and passion for the gym. And that's where kind of like, okay, this is where I know I'm going to refill myself every day. But honestly, thankfully, I was able to like be blessed with the ability to draw. So that is probably one of my biggest outlets for me, is that I do take that time to really just draw. Some things that I don't even share. It's just like sketching is just where I get lost in. Yes. It's just freedom. I turn on my music. I get on my playlist, and I just I just get lost. Yeah.
And your illustrator, like your art is. I'm like, I was going through your page. I'm like, he never talks about his art. When we see each other, I was like, I've never known that you were this talented.
Yeah.
Like you are, like you. I know you said you want to play the piano, but I would love to be able to create what you are creating.
Man,
what a
little
gift!
Something. A
little
something.
What a gift that is, though. From God. So
I think it's one of those things. It's like you. Some people are really blessed to kind of have it more tangibly, or like just know right then and there, like, this is what I can do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, seeing Jasmine Sullivan being able to sing the way she sings at that age, I was like, yeah, you knew that was a gift.
You
early
knew.
On. You knew.
Yeah. You knew your purpose from a young age.
age.
Did you know your purpose from a young age?
That was funny. Like I could draw at a young age. Like I remember being in elementary school, and my elementary school teachers, like, kind of pulling me aside, or like telling me that there's these events going on for drawing. And I'm just like,
because they saw the talent.
I just drew a lion. Like I just thought a lion. I just thought this was kind of cool.
But they saw the gift.
They saw it. Yeah.
They saw the gift.
My parents kind of was like, okay, yeah. My dad used to come home with these big old thick packets of like printing paper.
So
like,
you could draw.
And he was just like, he would just give it to me. He's like, yeah, you're drawing. Like, just draw.
We love a parent that supports their children. Shout out to dad.
Shout out to dad.
And mom.
Right. So yeah, they fueled that. So yeah, it just progressed. And I know that we were talking about that prior, but just like sometimes I do forget, like, oh yeah, I do draw.
Yeah.
Well, I can draw a little bit.
You not a little bit, friend. Let's get into that, because not a little bit. For one, I noticed you've for one did illustrations for Usher, Candy, Cynthia Erivo. I think I'm pronouncing her. Is that how you?
Arrivo.
Arrivo.
Yeah.
Gunna, Martin Lawrence, just to name a few.
Yeah.
So you can draw, okay? These artists are recognizing your art. You
Yeah.
could not just, this is not just a hobby, it's a gift.
Yeah.
How
I
does
think
it feel to be recognized, like from some of our favorite artists, some of our favorite celebrities? How does it feel to be recognized?
You know what's funny is like, especially with like in art, you know, I remember going through that time frame through social media where it was just like, tag them,
Yeah.
put the name,
Yeah.
like let them see it, let them see it. And I went through that phase,
Yeah.
and luckily, you know, they were able to see it, and you know, kind of, and I had other people reach out to me to do art pieces for that specific person. My friend Draco, who works with Cynthia Erivo,
Mhm.
and you know, he was the one who hit me up, was like, hey, I think this would be really dope. We're wrapping up the show for Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
You know, this would be a great gift to give to her as a wrap-up gift. And I was like, perfect, I can do it.
I could do that.
Yeah, I can do that. But yeah, being able to see, you know, like people recognize that, yeah, it makes me feel, it's almost like, okay, you know what?
I'm
This
good
gift
at
is,
this.
yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do. So yeah.
What do you want to be remembered as? I hate that, unfortunately, some of the great artists don't get
Yeah.
their flowers until after they're not here. But I want to take the time to give you your flowers
you.
now. You are like abnormally talented. I'm like, it looks so real. I'm like, it looks like it's gonna jump off the
Right.
page. But what do you want people to take from your art?
I really wish, I think, and I think this is an ownership on my part as well, because I really want to start making more like content of actually recording my process,
Yeah.
because I want people to know that like he loved what he does. And I think that's one of the things that I love about artistry, is when like you can see the pain, the grit in their voice,
Yes.
you know for a fact like they enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
Me and my friends were just watching Lauryn Hill last night, and we were watching one of her performances, and I was like, one thing I love about Lauryn Hill is like when she raps or like when she's singing her music, like you feel it, like you know for a
Yeah.
fact she enjoys this music.
She loves what she's doing.
She
Yeah.
loves. Yeah, I mean, even if she didn't make any money from this, you can tell like she
would
really,
still do it.
yes. And I felt like that is what I would hope that people would remember, which once again, I'm taking ownership of like recording those moments. But like I would
Yes.
love for people to know that like Brandon really loved drawing. Like,
Yeah.
he was in his space, he was in his moment, his mantra, like
He
he loves
enjoyed,
that.
yeah. I could tell though. I feel like that kind of translate when I see your art, because I'm like, wow, for you to be
Yeah.
as detailed. And I don't know like the terminology, but it's like the shading, and it's like under the eyes are a little lighter. I'm like,
Oh, her skin is moisturized.
yeah.
Her skin
I'm
looks
like, this
moisturized.
looks like this is about to jump off the page. Like you really,
Yeah.
really are a true talent.
Sometimes after I get done, is like, okay, so I'll look up and I'm like, wow, I've been drawing for 2 hours, and I'll look back down. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
take a picture of this.
Yeah, I did good.
Yeah,
I did good. When I went to Italy and I saw some of the work of Michelangelo, I'm like, it looked like God was just using
Yes.
his hands to create these magnificent pieces. And I see that in your work too, because I'm like,
Thank you.
how did he do this?
When we went to Brazil, we went to a museum or like an art gallery on the street, and seeing some of the art, I had the exact same. I was like, this person right here is just like, I'm in awe of their
Talented,
talent.
yeah.
Yeah, like they were able to be able to create what they created. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think people are in awe of you
Thank
and your
you.
art. Yeah. I'm like, he been keeping secrets. I did
Right,
not.
right.
Y'all, I've hung out with him a few times. This man ain't say nothing about being this amazing artist, but I'm glad that we get to expose your art today.
Yeah. Thank you.
What
Thank
do you
you.
see like in the next year for your art? Like, what are you working on? What do you want to do with your art? Where do you want it to go? I'm really big on like, there's life and death in the power of the
Yeah.
tongue.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
like when Erica Badu says, when you write it down or say it out loud, like watch shit get real.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. I would love to do art shows, like a complete gallery of just my work.
Mhm.
I would love to partner with other artists as well, but I would really like to put like on a big display
Of just
of
your art.
just my art,
I
and just
can
kind of
see
like
that.
a vibey like mixture of people just coming in and networking.
Yeah.
But yeah, the focal point is art and just like a real vibey type of
I
session.
think you should do it.
Yeah.
I think you should do it. I'm going to
think I should
remind
do
you
it.
of that, like, hey, just reminding you. Remember you said, I think you should do
Right,
it. Yes. I'm
right.
looking forward to attending that.
Oh, no, you're gonna be one of the first.
Yeah,
people there.
please.
Yes,
The Heart Helper podcast.
Yes,
Maybe we can do a live recording
Right,
from.
yes,
yes.
And other people that may be in there just doing like quick, like 5-minute, like quick
Yeah.
with Jodie. Like, yeah.
Y'all,
We're gonna get this together. We're gonna get this together.
It's coming soon.
Yes.
So let's get into just your life in general. So
Okay.
as I was doing my journalistic duties,
Yeah.
I see that you are from Indiana.
Yes.
Shout out to Indiana.
Shout out to Indiana.
And what part
Not
of
a
Indiana?
lot of us. Evansville.
Evansville.
So
okay.
yeah. So a small city
Okay.
in Evansville. I know normally people think about Indianapolis or Gary, but
yeah,
we're
think
down
about
south.
Gary because we love Michael Jackson.
Right. Michael Jackson.
Yeah. So I see that your parents had a youth program. Was it basketball?
Yeah, it was
if
basketball.
I'm not mistaken. So tell me a little bit about that and how that shaped your childhood because I feel like that's so significant.
Oh no, for sure. It shaped how I got into my like illustration and books and all of that good stuff. But my dad played basketball through college and was a really good athlete. And of course, me and my brother, we played basketball growing up. And
how tall are you?
I'm 6'5".
I don't know if y'all can see how tall he is, but this man is tall, and I feel like he's getting taller.
Right. Tomorrow might be 6'6".
Yeah, you never
some days.
know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. But yeah, my dad, he seen that we play basketball, and he loved basketball, so he decided to do an inner city league. Starting out at the church, it was NBC. It was called Memorial Baptist Stars or NBC Stars. That's kind of how it started.
Stars.
Everything always starts at the church, right? Like
that's
everything.
The foundation. We're gonna get into that now.
But yeah, he started it at the church, and it was just a small feeder league, and then it just progressed, and then we started traveling for AAU basketball, which is typically during the summer. And it went from elementary school to ages then to going into middle school, over into high school, and then of course kind of getting them off into college. But
wow.
yeah, it progressed. It grew. I seen it grow even starting it when I was in elementary school, and it really
transition.
Yeah,
so
transition.
You spent a lot of your time like your childhood playing basketball.
Yes,
with the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What made your dad want to start a youth program?
Seeing the inner city, seeing like the lack of resources for the kids in the inner city, in the projects, just things that the kids didn't necessarily have, and just having an outlet for them kids to be able to dive into something that was productive.
Yeah.
Sports. I know that that's something that we typically lead on in the Black community is sports.
Sports, yeah.
But at the same time, if you know that this is what you're good at, which my dad was really good at basketball, that was what he was blessed to do. And I think he was able to tie that in with his love for children and be able to kind of like, okay, let me give them an outlet for them to be able to be productive and maybe not get into, some of those other activities
that they could
that we could easily get into.
Yes.
So yeah, I think, that was the main reason, and it just grew, like blossomed from there.
I love that he used his gift to be able to give back. And I feel like that's why we all have gifts.
Yes.
Like, okay, how are you using your gift? I heard someone say like, at the end of our road, whenever we transition and go back to the Father, is like, we will be held accountable for the gifts God put in our heart that we did not manifest.
No, that's true.
So I'm like, God, is that a gift? Okay, what I need to do?
Wait, what I need to do?
Yeah, what I need to do with it, So you said that kind of inspired your illustration. So how did that come about? Like, was it?
Yeah, so I realized that coaching wasn't my ministry.
And that's okay.
That's another gift. You
That's
gotta
a
know.
gift.
You gotta know what is not a gift.
Come on now, you're preaching good.
But so I realized that I love children as well, and I think that was one of the things that me and my brother and my dad kind of bonded over. But I just knew that my patience for basketball just was not.
It wasn't it.
It just wasn't it.
Yeah.
But I realized that art. How could I tie these two together? Like, how could I do something that could be an outlet for children, but also as well could tie into something that I know that is my gift? And that's where the book came, and being able to like utilize, okay, I want to see Replenished grow as a brand itself. So what are those things that, kids could be able to utilize Replenished as an outlet? Yeah. And that way that could be something, that they could dive into. If it's not sports, because not all of us are meant to play sports.
Not everyone.
Not everybody.
And not just because you're tall, you should be a basketball player. Or because you got a big back, you should be a football player. And I do think that we have to stop pushing children into like, hey, you're going to make it to the NFL. No, you might be a scientist.
Yes.
You might be an astronaut. You might be an artist. You might be a podcaster. Who knows? But whatever your child sees interest in, I feel like it's so important to kind of like water that seed.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think one of the things is amazing about kids, they do have that mind state at a certain age where like they want to be everything. They want to be dinosaurs. They want to be an astronaut. They want to be a
race car driver.
Yeah. They want to be the car.
Yeah,
like,
literally. I want to design cars.
Literally.
Okay.
I was with my friend and he had his son, and literally like just watching him run around, it was just like he was just lost in amazement. And I'm like, that is the that right there is the space that I feel like kids should be able to hold on to as long as they can.
Yes.
And
It's innocent.
yeah, it's innocent.
Pure. Yeah.
So like when you expressed about when your son wanted to do something, it's just like feed that.
Yeah.
Feed that.
Yep.
You know, regardless of whatever it is, because you never know what may come from it.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that my parents were able to feed into like my artistry, because ultimately it kind of led to this.
And I feel like they gave you the foundation.
Yeah,
and that's why I wanted
sure.
to ask that question, because I feel like as a parent, a lot of times we're like, no, I want your house to look like this. You're
Right.
going to do this. You're going to do that. But as parents, like our only goal is to give your child the foundation,
Mhm.
build your house how you see fit. And I feel like your
Yes.
parents gave you such a great foundation, not just you, but
Mhm.
all of the kids that they probably helped in the youth in
Oh, for sure.
Indiana, you know?
For
So
sure.
are they still doing that program or
Not anymore. Not anymore. They kind of got away from a little bit.
to
But
live their life?
yeah, to kind
Yeah.
of like focus. One thing I always say is like, so my mom was, when I tell you, the backbone of like, you know, every summer she was in the gym,
Wow.
doing the concession stands. Like she was the one doing the burgers and hot dogs and
Shout out to your
Bro, shout out to mom for.
Yay.
I think that's one of the things that I took from it as well, is like really seeing the sacrifice and the grit that it takes to run an organization,
Yeah.
right? You know, when you have a business or you have certain things, people don't necessarily get to see all the background work or the behind the scenes that you
Yeah.
have to do.
They just get to enjoy
That's it. That's it. They get to go home and my mom is the one that's back there cleaning up and doing the banners and glitter at 2:00 in the morning in the living
Yeah.
room. And you know how hard it is to get up glitter?
Oh, I know. Listen, it's very hard. So
It's so-
kudos to her
yes,
to
to
make
just-
sure those kids had a great experience
Yes,
when they came.
yes.
What was the name of the program?
NBC Stars.
NBC Stars. And that,
Mhm.
oh, you did say that from
Yep,
the church.
NBC Stars. Yep.
NBC Stars.
Yeah. That was
Shout out
us.
to
That was a
them.
shout out to NBC Stars and everybody that was a part of it.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That is really that's something that I would like to do. Like just start a youth program.
Yeah.
I feel like so many kids need it.
For sure. And
So many kids
they
need
they
it.
end up coming from, and whatever you take from it is what you take from. I think that was one of the things. Some of us went on to continue to play basketball in college
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. Some end up taking the more educational route or just diving into other things, but that still was an outlet that kind of gave them structure.
It's the outlet that's
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
It's definitely the outlet. So you're in Atlanta. How
Mm-hmm.
did you get from Indiana to Atlanta?
So early on, I knew that I was like,
You're not staying
I don't
here.
want to stay here. I don't want to stay here.
Too small for you?
Too small.
Because you're a star, honestly.
Yeah, I was like,
Honestly,
it was like, this is too small. But it just wasn't progressive. And I'd
Yeah.
seen that early on. Like I just seen that it just wasn't progressive. And I think that after I graduated from college, I felt like that was the time to make the move, right? Like I feel like that's where everybody's like, hey, this is where you
Where's your next
decide your next
Where'd you go
step.
to college?
I went to Kentucky State in Frankfort, Kentucky. Small town, small HBCU. But yeah, went there after I graduated. I was like, you know what? I'm not going back home. I'm not going back
I'm
home.
not going
I'm not
back
doing it. I'm not
home.
going back home. And that summer, I saved up about $8,000 working. I didn't do nothing.
Oh,
I didn't do nothing.
how'd you do that?
Imagine a 23-year-old working. I worked at a factory, and it was like, so the factory that was there, they had a program for college students, and they were like, we'll give you, whenever you come home for the summer, you can work here, and you made the same amount as like the people who work there full time.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, you know what? Me and my friends worked it. I'm going to work it, but I'm not doing anything but saving because I got to get out of here.
Because I got to get
I got to get out of here.
You knew that you wanted something else for yourself.
Yes. I didn't spend a lick of that money. It went all into a
Really?
bank account. I didn't do nothing.
We all need to be more like you at that time. Yeah.
I was like, I have a mission and I got to complete
Yeah.
it. But yeah, that after I graduated, I saved up that money, and my parents packed up their truck. I packed up my car and hit the road. I didn't have a job in Atlanta. I knew where I was going to stay because I came down like maybe a month or two before to kind of scout where I
Okay.
wanted to
So you
live.
got the place already.
Yeah.
You had money saved. So you're like, I know I'm good for a couple months.
No couch, no bed. You know those things where you just lay there on the floor and you're like, you know what, this is mine.
This is mine. I am
mine.
here and I
I'm
have
here.
arrived.
Yes. So yeah, that's how it happened.
But why did you choose Atlanta though? Did you have friends here or did you like think it was like the Black Mecca? Like, I can make my dreams come true here?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
it was a combination of that. It was one. So I didn't know anybody in Atlanta.
Really?
I had no.
And how long have you been living here?
I've been in Atlanta for 10 years.
Wow.
10 years,
Wow.
yeah. So I didn't have any friends, anything like that. But I played at Kentucky State. We played Morehouse. We played Clark. And I kind of knew that I wanted to move to Atlanta because everybody knew that Atlanta was the Black Mecca. This was the Wakanda.
Love it here. Listen,
it was the Wakanda.
I came here too. So
Right.
listen.
So it was like, listen, you got to go to Atlanta. And I think that was kind of already implanted in my head. So decided to move, make that move because of that reason. And I stuck it out. And I think I have so much admiration for people who move from their respective cities and they make it and stick it out, through adversity, because there's a lot of things that, kind of go throughout this process, jobs, loss of jobs, COVID happened, a lot of stuff happened.
Life happens.
Yeah, life happens.
It takes courage.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So for people who can stick it out and make it and they move away from their comfort of home and miles away, I got a special respect.
You're preaching without preaching. Because let me say, it does take courage to be able to move. And I always say it takes courage to go from just being to becoming.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of times, like even when I moved from Jacksonville, originally I'm from Toronto, Canada, but I grew up in Jacksonville. And my mom was like, well, why do you want to move to Atlanta? I grew up in Jacksonville. Yeah. I hate when I would go out and someone could just hear my voice and be like, Jodie, is that you on aisle 7? I'm like, I got to get up out of here. Yeah, but it does take courage, but it takes courage to become like whatever it is. Like it literally, you have to just do it.
How did your mom feel when you left? Like, is your mom still in Florida? Or
she's still in Florida. She was, because I have a son. So I'm a single mom. So she's like, well, why do you want to move there with the baby? But honestly, like I had gotten such a great job opportunity and I felt like I had always, like I said earlier, there's life and death in the power of the tongue. Yeah. So I'd always joked about moving to Atlanta because I used to come all the time. And then an old coworker reached out to me. He had been talking about me so much at this company that they were like, well, do you think she'd want to come to Atlanta? We need a manager to manage the market. And when he called me about it, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that, Ellen. He's like, you got to be kidding me. Right. He's like, when I met you when you were living in Tampa, you were like, oh, I'm going to move to Atlanta. This is your chance, Jodie. If you're going to do it, I'm like, you're right. You're right. And God opened a door I didn't even have to knock on. But I'm like, God, I got my son. Right. Is it the right thing to do? But it took courage. My mom was a little nervous at first. Right. But now she's like, well, I think I'm going to get a house up there. I like Georgia. So sometimes you got to do it and people will follow. People will follow.
But it makes sense from a parent stand basis. It's kind of like they have that worry and they want to make sure. And that's kind of like what I've seen in my parents as they were leaving. Like after we've got all my stuff moved in, I looked at my mom and my dad's eyes, and they were looking like, okay, like this is the moment where we just gotta like let go. Like this is the moment. This is where it's either going to happen or it's going to fall. He can always come home. Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm like,
I'm never coming back to Indiana.
I'm not coming back home.
But I feel like you as a parent too, you got to trust that you laid the proper foundation and you'll be okay.
Yeah. And they did that. So mom and dad, y'all did that.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to y'all.
We love good parents.
Right. We love good parents.
I just believe that for anyone listening too, if you're scared, like, I don't know if I want to move from my hometown. I don't know anyone. I have a child. We both are sitting on this couch in Atlanta and I've been here almost 3 years. He's been here 10. But in order to go from being to becoming, you have to take the risk. There's literally no reward without risk.
Yes.
Start the business, pack up the U-Haul, leave the relationship.
Whatever it is,
do it, and God will literally guide you along the way. Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's like so. It's powerful in a sense because a lot of times that is majority of the work is just taking that leap, like just taking that jump. Yeah. Like, and I think we focus so much on failure, but like that's a part of the process. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Just like you said, get that LLC, start that business.
Start it. You'll never, if you fail, the beautiful thing about life, if you're still living, you could get back up and you could try it again.
Try another way.
And you can learn. Exactly. Yeah. I'm like at this age in my life, I'm like at my big age of 37, I'm willing to risk it.
Right.
I'm going to try it. I have nothing to lose.
I have nothing to lose.
I have nothing to lose. Yeah. So I hope you guys are inspired by his story to move from Indiana, not know anyone in Atlanta, and be doing great. And you made a whole bunch of friends.
Oh, yeah. At this point, it worked out. But me and my car, I look at my car, I'm like, we packed you up.
Listen, and we made it. We made it. You never know. And I always say too, like, give God the opportunity to bless you. You know, of course, be a good steward over what you have now, but walk in the door. Sometimes even if you don't got to say nothing, like just walk in the room, walk in the right room. Even if you don't talk, you might not get that moment, but listen and soak up what's in there. But take the leap of faith. Take the leap of faith. Shoot
Yeah.
for the stars.
You were just speaking to me. I was
Listen.
over looking like, ooh.
Ooh,
I'm about to-
Fred, walk in the room
Right,
and
walk
act
in the
like
room.
God sent you there. Because you did.
Yes,
Truly,
you did.
truly.
Yeah.
So Proverbs, this is my favorite verse from the Bible, y'all. If I don't know any other verse, I know this one. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. How do you guard your heart? How do you protect your heart? How do you keep your heart clean? Because of course we're on the Heart Helper.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're gonna talk about it.
I feel like it's the company that I keep. I think that's one of the biggest beneficial factors of like guarding my heart is the company that I keep.
Yeah.
I think that the group of friends that I do have and I'm looking all the way back into like my childhood. Like I'm still best friends with, the friends that I grew up with since the 2nd grade.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's still my best friend. And just my family, like just keeping, that great foundation around me, that's what helps. Yeah, that's what kind of protects my heart because they make sure that, I get myself together. They make sure that I'm good.
Yeah.
They make sure that I'm good mentally and physically. So, as long as I got a good foundation, I got those good people around me, I feel like
You stay on
I'm
track.
protected. Yeah, I stay on track.
You gotta have good company around you.
Yes.
They say, I forget what verse it is in the Bible, but it says, bad company corrupts good character.
Yes.
So that is very, very,
Yes.
very important. Surround yourself, and we always say it on on the podcast as well. Like surround yourself with beings of light.
Oh, for sure.
People that will pray for you, not play with you.
Yeah.
So that okay,
Right.
that's important.
Every time I watch your podcast, I literally like, not only just, of course, they're my friends, but, just kind of like seeing the people that you interview or just talk with, like they all have something going on for themselves.
Yeah.
And like, of course, iron always sharpens iron.
Yes.
And all of my friends are always just doing something productively, whether they be career wise or entrepreneur wise, whatever the case may be. And it's just like, okay, like, how are we to progress in life?
Yeah.
And keeping those people around you, that's what keeps you moving to that next phase in that next stage in your life. So
And I always say too, like I love to be inspired.
yes.
Like even when I was scrolling through your page, I'm like, let me get some I'm like, this is just so inspiring. And I feel like I know we live in a world of influencers, but I always say like I want this podcast to be a space that inspires people because I want you to be inspired to become whatever God has called you to be. I don't want to influence you to be like Jodie or like Brandon or like whatever other guests we have on here, but we want you to be inspired to become what God has called you to be. But I think when you are surrounded by the right friends with good character that have things going on, I love to see my friends be blessed. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, God is close.
Yes.
God is in the neighborhood.
It balances it out. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm not the only one that got morals in here.
Yeah.
Like, they also
I love this
yes,
for
I love
us.
this for us. Yeah. Yeah. So
I
when
love
they
that.
like you say, when they get blessed, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy that they got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring.
Yes.
I love to see people start a business. I love to see people pursuing their goals.
For sure.
And I think it's important too to remind people of their dreams. To remind, like even like you said, you want to do a gallery. I will be texting you like, hey friend,
Right.
I came across this. I think you should look into it.
And those that keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Like those friends that are like, okay, so what's going on with this? Like, I'm already supposed to be working on a volume 2 of the book. And literally
We're
on
ready.
Friday, right? My friend Crystal was like, "So Brandon, how's
Hey,
the
Crystal.
book? How's the book going? How's the book
It's
going?"
like,
and I'm like,
it's
I got
in the works.
I got a couple of
It's in the
things written
works.
down. Yeah, but I just having those friends that are are keeping you accountable. I think that is kind of going back to your point. It's just really kind of allowing me to protect myself because I got people around me that's really like rooting or like looking for updates, and I'm just like, yeah.
You know what? Let me put in the work.
Put in the work.
Yeah, I love people that hold me accountable.
Yes.
Though. Some people might get like upset, like, well, why do they keep reminding me of the book I told them about? Well, you did tell us about it.
You put it out there.
So is it coming out? I'd like to
Exactly.
buy it from my kid.
Exactly.
So I love that. I love
Yes.
that. How do you maintain like your relationship with God? Because of course this is a spiritual.
Mhm.
And I always say we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we know how trying this human experience could be. We were talking a little bit about it off camera. Like, listen, this is a lot.
Yes.
This is a lot. How do you maintain your relationship with God to get through this human experience that we're going through? Because it could be ghetto.
Right. Once again, our parents did not prepare us for
none
what
of
life
this.
looks like.
And here
at
we
all.
are.
And
No
here we
trust
are.
fund,
No,
nothing. I ought to
nothing.
sue our parents for not
I know.
having a trust
No, for
fund.
real. As soon as I leave here, I'm gonna call my parents and be like, "Listen,
Where my
I don't know-
money?
I don't know what. I don't
Give
know
me
what
my
it is. Give me
money.
But yeah, I think constant just talking with them every day.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we get stuck up on just like, asking for God for something. Just like, hey, like just always asking, but just talking with God. Even when you have what you need.
Yeah.
I was, even before I got here, like just talking to him on the way
Yeah.
about just like, thanking him for giving me this opportunity to even do this podcast.
Yeah.
Just having that open communication. And I say open because he does talk back.
Yes.
you got to look for those signs. You got to look for when he's talking to you. So,
yes.
I think that's one of the key things is just like keeping that communication. One of the things that my mom, has expressed to me and grew up in the church. But
we
sometimes,
listen,
right. Listen. So I know in our adult life, we don't make it to church every day.
Yeah.
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
We just, some life, how lives. But my mom always told me that, like, she talks with them every day, and and her relationship is her relationship with God.
Absolutely.
And I think I've kind of carried that because, I do talk with them on a consistent basis, and it's more of just, thanking him for the things that I do have, or just having just talking.
Yeah.
I might not even have anything I'm asking for. I'm just talking.
Just talking. Yeah.
Talking.
And I think God wants to be our friend as well, and I think sometimes we try to make it so formal, like, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Right.
God's like, girl, how was your day today?
Right. I am your friend.
I'm your friend. And God wants to be our friend. Like, I don't think there's like a manual for how you should pray. Like, God, just pour out your heart.
Yes.
Like, even I've caught myself recently, like, enough about my day. Well, God, how was your day? Did we disappoint you today? I hope you were not disappointed. Just like those type of things. Like, and I try to build on my relationship with God every day as well, talking to God and being more intentional, like with praying or even like cutting out my secular music.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, you can't listen to Key Glock. Like, come on, it has to stop. Where's the line?
Where's the line?
And I'm like, you know what? I gotta fast from it because there's certain music I really do like, but I'm like, I want to invite God into every area of my life.
Yes.
Every area of my life. Every area.
I'm at home sometimes. I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm just like, man, what you up there doing?
Yeah, no, seriously. Like stuff like that.
Right.
But
or
that's
like
rebuild.
Your loved ones that, passed away. It's like it's all I'll be saying like, so what my grandma I wonder what my grandma up there doing.
Is she watching over me?
Right.
So God, when Jonah got stuck in that well, how he had got out. So I was wondering. So when y'all made the bread, how did that?
Right.
But stuff like that.
The ram was in the bush. The ram was
So how did that happen?
Right.
So when David had slept with Bathsheba, were you really mad, or were you a little bit mad? Like
you have to talk.
Yeah.
You have to talk.
Yeah. And the more that I'm reading my word, because now I love going to the gym as well.
Mm-hmm.
So before I go to the gym, I make my coffee, I read my word. But I'm just so like in awe of the stories that are in the Bible. I'm like, this is wild. This is like a movie. And I'm reading it like it is a movie.
Right. And that's helping you get to your workout too.
Yeah.
It's like,
It is.
Let's go on to this next verse. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course.
As a man, how do you feel like you are able to like manage your emotions? And because I've had a lot of male guests lately, and a lot of them talk about not being able to have the outlet.
Mm-hmm.
I know, of course, number one, God's an outlet for you, but like, how do you like manage your emotions? Who do you lean on? Who could you, rely on outside of God? Like, I feel like it's important to talk about because I just see a lot of men and they don't have a safe space.
Yeah.
How have you created that for yourself?
One, I mean, of course, I think we kind of going back into it again, where just having a great foundation of friends that are around you. I think that is a huge key part of that because you're able to get those emotions out around your friends and be able to talk to them about whatever may be going on. But also as well, of course, my family, my parents. My parents been together for 40 something years. Like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, they've been together.
Amazing.
Yeah, them are my dogs. When I talk about my parents, I be like, you know what, them are my people.
Oh
like,
my goodness, that's amazing. Shout out to them 40 years. And this generation, child.
Every time I get on the phone with my parents, like it's just like the roles are switching now. Not like I'm the parent now.
I feel like
I'm the parent.
too.
My dad is eating chicken strips and like chips and pop, and I'm like, did you have some greens on that? Like, where's your vegetables?
Did
on
you
this
eat
plate?
your vegetables today?
Yes, all of that. But yeah, no, I think my parents and my friends have gave a great foundation in terms of just like being able to like let them know when I'm feeling a type of way and being able to sit in that emotion. I think, and that's a lot of times where we kind of, fall short because we try to run from that emotion because it's been taught to not cry or you've been taught to not do certain things. But no, you should sit in that emotion and feel it. Don't stay there too long.
Don't stay there too
long. But if you feel that moment,
you got to.
And luckily, I've been blessed to have people that I can do that with, and they can do that with me as well.
Yeah.
Like my friends, they can call me and we can talk about certain things. Yeah.
You feel like you're a safe space. When's your birthday?
December 20th.
Okay, you feel
Sag.
like you feel like you're a safe space. I get that vibe from you.
Yeah,
I get that vibe.
Some good food.
Yeah,
some good. Yeah,
I get that.
Come on over.
So, men, if you're listening to this and you don't feel like you have an outlet, write us or write him. I'll put it. Hit him up in the DM. But find that safe space for yourself, because especially like we're all experiencing so much in life, but I love what you said is like sit in it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and I'm guilty of this too, like when I go through stuff, I want to run from it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I immediately want relief from it, and I immediately want to be out of it. But it's like, okay, let me just sit in it. And what am I supposed to learn here?
Yeah. A lot of times when what's so funny is a lot of times it happens when I'm driving. I'll be driving and I'm about to get home and I pull up and I just sit there in the car. If like that emotion that I'm feeling, I'll just sit there and I'll sit in it. And I'll feel it. And I'll get out the car and I'll go inside the house and I have a completely different mindset.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of times I just have to feel it in that moment. And for people who may not necessarily have an outlet, it's a shared relationship. You got to be able to show that you can also be that person that people can come to, because that other person that outlet that you're looking for, they might not necessarily have an outlet or don't know that you can be that outlet for them. So for you to be able to be that open space for your friend and be able to like, you good? Come to me and talk.
Yeah.
Now those roles can be switched, and now they know that, okay, he was
I can trust this person. Yeah. You got to be vulnerable.
Yes, you have to be vulnerable.
In order for people to be vulnerable with you. Yeah.
Exactly.
And being vulnerable is not.
It's not easy. It is not easy. It's not
easy at all.
You're faced to deal with like the things that are in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reality of situations, whatever the case may be.
It's scary. It's scary.
But it don't last long.
It don't
last long.
And that's what we have to tell ourselves, because when you're going through something, you're like, oh my God, I'll never get out of this. I'll never survive this. And then it's like 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, here I am.
That's what I was tripping about.
I survived it.
I survived that. Yeah.
It's important. So I hope that you guys take that advice. Sit in it, but not too long.
What is it, that old saying that they always say, this too shall pass?
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Yes. That's like one of those old sayings.
This too shall pass. It's hard to like think like that when you're going
through it. Yeah.
But if you could shift your perspective, you could literally shift your energy. Like as soon as I shift my mind frame about a situation, I'm like, oh, I feel better now.
Yeah.
I feel better.
And I feel like it's because I sat in it. Like I feel like whenever I'm going through something, if I continue to run from it, it ain't gonna do nothing but just rear its ugly head again in the next couple of hours or the next day. But if I really sit in it and think about it, it may not fix it. But at least I gave myself that time to really kind of think about it, feel it. Yeah. And then, like you said, I can shift my perspective, and I can move forward differently.
And I think those still moments are important too, because I know you mentioned earlier, like you talk to God all the time, and God's always answering, but you just have to pay attention.
Yeah.
I learned that recently. I'm like, I'm not hearing from God.
Right.
I'm not hearing from God. God, did you hear my prayer? But then I'm like, have I really been still enough to hear from God?
Exactly.
Because I'm always busy. I'm always going. I'm always doing this. But when have you had the time to really just sit and be still?
Yeah.
Because that's when you can hear God.
Exactly.
We live in such a busy generation.
Oh my God. Yes.
Why are we so busy?
We always constant. Always moving.
Why?
See, we wanted this as a kid.
Yeah, you wanted to be grown so bad.
And now that we got it, now we want it.
I want to chill.
Yes.
I want to chill.
So for kids who also may be seeing this, slow down. Just slow down. Be
please.
a kid.
Enjoy it. I tell my son that all the time. I'm like, you want to be grown so bad. It's literally not even fun. He's like, yes, it is. You got to do what you want. You have to have money, Pharaoh. Yeah. It's not free have fun. Literally, it's not free.
Yes.
At all.
So
I love that. I mean, I think, again, like I said, you're an inspiration. And I know there's people that are going to listen to this like, dang, I kind of feel like I'm dope at doing art.
Yeah.
Or I've always wanted to publish a book. Or I want to be cool like Brandon. How can I get there? What advice would you give to someone that wants to showcase their art, or they want to get into illustration, they want to publish a book?
Yeah.
What advice would you give?
Think about things that are authentic, or think about things that are authentic to you that you just generally just love to dive into. I think when people try to do art or try to do like writing a book or just anything, because that is kind of like the subject, they automatically run with it.
Mhm.
But like, what are those other areas that come with it that you can really tap into? For me, for example, I love doing Black art, and I love doing, and more of my focal point are women. So a lot of my pictures that I draw are more so women. But if I was to try to do animals, I probably wouldn't be an artist.
That's
like,
not your thing.
it's not my thing,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that people who may be trying to draw, they're trying to find like what they want to do. So they may try to do comics, they may try to do anime, and they get frustrated with it. But if they go into something that they tap into that they generally love,
Yeah.
then it comes off easy. I remember,
natural.
yeah, it's natural. I remember when I was writing the book and I was trying to figure out topics and things like that to do, I was frustrated. I was just like, okay, I know this is what I want to do, but like, it's just not coming out. And then I really got to thinking about, my cousin Jamira helped me, you know, kind of like really think about the different topics and what I wanted to talk about. And as soon as I found that sweet spot, I literally went home and my fingers got to going. And before I knew it, half of the book was done.
Really?
Just because it just flowed. I was just creatively vomiting.
Wow.
All of this stuff on paper.
This is what you had loved.
That's what I loved. And I think like that is the main point of people trying to create a business or trying to create. If you automatically are thinking just strictly like monetary wise, or just trying to do a quick get rich scheme,
which a lot of people are.
However that came out.
Yeah.
It's not going to come off right, and it's not, and you're not going to find the love and passion in it. But as soon as you start really diving into or tapping into the things that this is just, you just generally love doing, you can wake up in the morning and know like, this is what I love. These are the topics that I love to talk about. It's going to flow, and it's going to come off that way in your book or in your music or in your art. So just tap into those things, because that's what I love to do in my art. And other people, they love doing realism. They love doing characters. They love doing different styles of art. And I love that for them. But that just may not be my particular area.
I love that for them.
I love that for them. But it's not for me. Yeah. In the same way we're writing a book, you know, people have different books that they talk. They have tell-alls. They have, inspirational type of books. They have, creative nonfiction books, whatever the case may be. But for me, I just knew that like children is the area that I wanted to dive into, with especially with art. Yeah. And once I found that area, it just came easy.
Naturally.
It just natural. Yeah. It was just like, oh, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Why couldn't I have found this answer a long time ago? But it just takes time.
I feel like when you're your authentic self, that's like the sweet spot.
Oh, for sure.
Life. Like, it's such a blissful place to be in when you're fully yourself. And I feel like that's why you were able to flourish with your book and, your illustrations, is because you're being yourself.
Yeah. You can see it in people, like, especially when people talk to you, like, you've been in casual conversation with people and you can talk about certain things. Like, I love, like, when I see you travel, I love seeing you travel. Because when we talk about it, your face, like, you light up. You get to talk about all the things that you want to do, you did get the chance to do, and you can tell like that is what you love doing.
Absolutely.
Or even when you like, even podcast wise, like just communicating with people, this is clearly something that you naturally can just do. Like, you can hold a conversation. You make it very easy. Yeah, I'm giving you your flowers. You make it very easy.
Thank you.
So I think that being able to tap into those things, it just makes it 10 times easier.
It's easy.
It's so easy.
And I feel like when God gives you a gift, it's going to be easy. Like, I feel like you shouldn't have to strain to do something.
Yeah.
Like, you naturally could create, you know? I feel like I love talking to people. Yeah. And I always like, what was my purpose? What am I doing, God? What should I be doing? I'm like, girl, you love talking to people. Like, this is my thing. I would sit on this couch for the rest of my life and really enjoy hearing people's stories.
And you don't necessarily have to have like millions of views, or you don't have to necessarily get any type of like monetary, although we would love, we
love
still
money.
Love the money.
Yeah.
But if you can do it without like that being the main point, because a lot of times people are like, well, Brandon, why haven't you done this with your art? And I'm like, y'all, I really love art. I really could just sit in my house and just like do art. And some stuff the world don't even see. Like, Instagram hasn't even seen half of the art that I've created. It's just because that's what I keep close to me. Sometimes I don't even do commission pieces because I just want to focus on just creating the art. And I don't want it to I don't want to have to like make money off of it, or I don't have to like do an art show and have everybody see it. Sometimes I just create the art just for me. Like,
I love that.
So
and that's how I know like you're going to be blessed in your art, because you're doing it because you solely love it. You're not doing it because, I want to be an artist, but I feel like it's coming natural to you because that's what God wants you to do. And anytime you force something, you're out of flow. And you're out of God's will for your life. That's why I'm like, I don't want to force nothing.
You feel like, whoa, what is
supposed to be doing this? Anytime it feels like there's a strain, you might need to reevaluate.
I had a hard time, funny enough, kind of getting back into like the book. I had a hard time with like really trying to like navigate it because people were talking about pricing and all this other stuff. And I was just kind of like, I'm getting stressed out because I just love the kids. And I just love creating the book for the kids and being able to do that outlet. The same thing that my dad did for the inner basketball league. And he knows that he needs money to be able to get exposure, to take us to, different tournaments around Indiana. And we traveled all over the Midwest, and we needed jerseys and we needed bags. He's seen other companies, they had water bottles and bags, and we had like jerseys that my mom like had created. And my dad was like, next year,
we're not doing that.
We're not doing this. So then we did fundraisers, and we did things from the church, and like the church was able to fund a lot of the things. But I felt like my dad had such a passion for kids that monetary side of things was uncomfortable for him because he just wanted to help the kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where I was at with the book as well. It was just like, if I could do it for free, I would, but you can't. You can't. It's taxing on you. So you do have to find ways to like bring it in monetary wise.
And you got to have money to pour back into whatever your next project is going to be, so you can help more kids.
You have to. But yeah, going back to your point of like, once you find it, you'll know. Yeah. You'll know, you feel it. It comes off authentic. When people you talk to, when they talk about things that they love doing, they smile, they grin, they show all their teeth. They won't shut up about it. It's
that's
like,
your thing.
That's what you're supposed to do.
And I feel like your passion is your purpose.
Yeah.
If it comes naturally to you, do it. Your passion is your purpose. Like, because not everyone's a great artist. Yeah. Not everyone's great at communicating. Not everyone could be a doctor.
Yeah.
And I always, when I was young, I'm like, well, I wonder why God made this person a lawyer, why God made this person a doctor. That's because they're meant to do that.
They were meant to.
They're meant to do that.
They were meant to. Yeah, because I can only imagine me as a doctor. I'd be like, you know what?
Hey,
brother, we tried.
We tried, but he gone. Okay. He gone.
We tried, but I got my friends is we meeting up with my friends. I gotta go.
I gotta go. But everything is not for everybody. You have great teeth.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about being a dentist?
You know what's
you have the best teeth I've ever seen in my life.
You know what's so crazy? So they always had that conversation of like, if you could go back to school and choose a different like a subject or a major, like what would you do? I got my degree in computer science.
Really?
Love being a nerd. I love math. Love computers. Love technology. But if I could go back, I would have went to dental school.
I could see that. You have really great teeth.
I love teeth.
Does everyone in your family have great teeth?
Well, yes. My mom, my dad, my brother, they
great teeth.
God, you gotta realize your blessings. God said, listen, we don't have money. My mom was like, we don't have no money, so if we're not gonna be able to get you braces. My brother had braces. My mom got braces, and then I popped out, and my mom was like, you know what? Hey, however your teeth are gonna go, that's how it's gonna go. Because we ain't got the money. We ain't got the money.
We spent it on your brother. We ain't got it.
Right. We don't have the money. And God said, you know what, brother? I got you, brother.
So you've never had braces. And you have the best teeth I've ever seen. Every time I see you, I'm like, his teeth are just great.
I was in the gym one time and I was walking in and this person said, so do you brush or like, are you able to chew on, how long did it take for you to like be able to eat what you wanted to eat? And I'm like,
what are you talking about?
These aren't veneers. Like these
are my teeth.
These are mine. Like these big things.
Because we're so used to people having veneers.
These things are mine.
No, your teeth are great.
Mine. Thank you.
Y'all, if only we could zoom in. He has great teeth, okay?
Thank you.
What toothpaste do you use?
Ooh, what's that? What's that? Right. This is a Crest right now. I think it may be a little Crest.
Y'all need to go ahead and sponsor him because
Crest, if you out there.
Listen, need to sponsor him. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
And before I end every episode, I like to start a statement and then you're going to finish it.
Okay.
So the first one.
I like this.
Yeah.
It's like freestyling a little bit.
Yeah. Because I think it's just so like cool to hear everyone's like response to it.
Yeah.
Someone was like, we're all so different, yet we're also connected.
Okay, now I'm kind of nervous.
No, not me. Just whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
So the first one is I am
creative.
I can
do anything.
I will
accomplish what I set out to do.
Love is
extensive.
And my favorite, God is
the Almighty King.
Yes. The Alpha and the Omega.
The Alpha and the Omega.
Come on now. Well, y'all, this was episode 29 with Mr. Brandon Darrett. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
Felt so relaxed and chilled. Like, I feel like we're at my house.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I'm at home.
Good.
Like I said, you make people feel at ease. Like, whoever comes next, just know Don't worry, don't sweat. Jodie gonna make you feel
It's a
so.
safe
It's a safe
space. I
space.
always want to make people feel at home when they're in
Yes,
my
I
presence.
felt
So
at home.
good. Thank you
Yes,
so much
thank
for
you for
being a
having
guest.
me. This is now 427 of. Thank you for real. Thank you for
No,
having me.
thank you for being
Thank
a
you for
guest.
having me.
And I pray like that your business is blessed. I'd love to, like, I just want to see your art blow up. I
Ooh,
want to see you inspire more children. And I have absolutely no doubt that you will.
this is what is this? August 25th. August
Yes, I
25th.
think.
We're going to revisit this because remember when we was talking about the art show, and I love the
Yes.
thought process of having these lights and the quick little intercessions with people doing quick interviews with you. You know what? We're going to
Yes.
remember it.
We gonna remember
Yeah,
this and we'll
yeah.
come back.
Yeah,
We're
we'll
gonna
come
do
back
this
to this.
again. Well, I appreciate you. And I
Thank
pray
you.
everything that you touch is blessed.
You as well.
Thank
You
you.
as well.
Well, guys, this was episode 29. I am your host, Jodie Smith. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please be sure to listen, like, share, and subscribe. And keep God first. Keep shining your light. And whatever you're going through, if you're going through something, this too shall pass. It shall pass. It shall pass. It will pass. We love you. We're with you. And we hope that you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to visit thehearthelper.com to stay connected with us. Until next time. Yay! I enjoyed this.